The words fell like a stone into still water, heavy and unsettling. When the childless millionaire made his offer to the woman standing across from him, he could buy anything in the world except the miracle of birth, and he was desperate enough to ask for the unthinkable. In a city where money lit the skyline brighter than the stars, one broken wish exposed a hollow heart, and one struggling soul was about to have her life torn open by a choice that would change them both forever. This is not a story about wealth or power, but about longing, loss, and the quiet ways grace finds us when we are at our weakest. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us what truly matters, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story that speaks to the heart. The millionaire's name was Jonathan Reed, a self-made real estate tycoon living in a glass mansion overlooking the hills of Northern California. From the outside, his life looked perfect, framed by manicured gardens, silent luxury cars, and floors polished enough to reflect his loneliness back at him. Jonathan had grown up in a small town in Ohio, raised in a church-going family that believed hard work was a form of prayer. He built his empire brick by brick, deal by deal. But somewhere along the way, his marriage collapsed under the weight of miscarriages and quiet grief. His wife left, unable to bear the constant reminder of what they could never have. By his mid-40s, Jonathan had everything except the one thing his heart still begged God for every night: a child to call him father. Across the state, in a fading neighborhood outside Sacramento, lived a woman named Sarah Collins. She was 26, deeply faithful, and worn thin by life's relentless demands. Her small apartment smelled of laundry soap and instant noodles, and every corner held reminders of the struggle she tried to hide from the world. Sarah worked 2 jobs, one as a caregiver at a nursing home and another cleaning offices at night. She had grown up in foster care, drifting between homes, clinging to her Bible as the only thing that stayed with her. When she discovered she was pregnant, the joy was immediately swallowed by fear. The man who had promised love vanished, and the bills did not wait for miracles. Sarah prayed every night, asking God not for riches, but for strength to protect the life growing inside her. Their worlds collided through a private agency that specialized in discreet arrangements for people with impossible desires. Jonathan had searched for months, his conscience wrestling with his desperation, until he convinced himself that offering financial security in exchange for a child was a kind of mercy. Sarah listened as the proposal was explained, her heart pounding so loudly it felt like a sin. The money offered could erase her debts, secure her future, and save her from the crushing anxiety that haunted her days. But the thought of giving up her child felt like tearing her own soul apart. She asked for time, retreating into prayer, fasting, and tears, trying to understand why God would place such a cross before her. As weeks passed, the pregnancy advanced, and Sarah's body grew heavier while her spirit grew tired. The nursing home residents noticed her gentle sadness, and one elderly woman named Margaret held her hand and told her that God never wastes pain. Those words stayed with Sarah when she finally agreed to the arrangement, not because she wanted the money, but because she believed the child deserved a life she could not provide alone. She told herself it was an act of love, even as her heart screamed in protest. Jonathan prepared for the arrival like a man trying to build joy from blueprints. He decorated a nursery, attended counseling sessions, and even returned to church, sitting silently in the back pew as families gathered around him. Yet at night, guilt crept in, whispering that he was crossing a line money should never touch. He prayed for forgiveness he wasn't sure he deserved, asking God to watch over Sarah and the unborn child, even as he counted the days. When the baby was born in a Sacramento hospital on a rainy autumn morning, the air felt charged with something holy and tragic. Sarah held her son briefly, memorizing the warmth, the weight, the tiny fingers curling around hers. She named him Michael in her heart, though she knew the name would not follow him. Jonathan arrived later, standing stiff and overwhelmed, staring at the child as tears broke through his carefully controlled life. In that moment, the reality crushed them both. This was not a transaction. This was a human soul. The days that followed were heavy with silence. Jonathan took the baby home, trying to fill the mansion with lullabies and purpose. He hired help, read parenting books, and rocked the child through sleepless nights, but something felt wrong. The baby cried often, a deep, aching sound that echoed Jonathan's own unresolved grief. Across town, Sarah sank into a quiet depression, her body healing while her arms felt unbearably empty. She returned to work, but every sound of a baby sent her running to the bathroom in tears. Change came unexpectedly, through faith rather than fortune. Jonathan, holding the baby during a late-night prayer, felt a conviction stronger than any business deal he had ever made. He realized that while he could provide everything materially, he had taken something sacred without fully honoring the cost. The next morning, he contacted Sarah, asking to meet again, not to renegotiate money, but to acknowledge the bond he could no longer ignore. They met in a small church near the hospital where it all began. Sunlight filtered through stained glass, painting the pews in colors of redemption. Jonathan confessed his emptiness and his fear of raising a child without understanding sacrifice. Sarah confessed her heartbreak and her constant prayer for the baby's safety. In that sacred space, they made a decision guided not by contracts but by compassion. Sarah would remain part of the child's life, not as a stranger, but as family. Years later, Michael grew up surrounded by love that money alone could never buy. He knew his story, not as a secret of shame, but as a testimony of grace. Jonathan became a different man, quieter, humbler, using his wealth to support families in crisis. Sarah returned to school, supported by Jonathan's sincere commitment to her future, and found healing in watching her son thrive. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel the weight of sacrifice and the beauty of mercy, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can continue to reach those who need hope. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with the word grace if you believe that love should never be bought, only given. In the end, Jonathan learned that while you can't pay for birth, you can choose to honor life with humility and love. Sarah learned that letting go does not always mean losing forever. And Michael grew up as living proof that even the most broken beginnings can lead to a future shaped by faith, forgiveness, and the quiet miracles that happen when people choose what is right over what is easy.